All right, so they just completed session one, and as I predicted, it was tight. I mean, it literally came down to the last routine for LSU on floor. And Florida was the Florida that they need to be if they want to win the championship on Saturday. So Florida and LSU did advance, but boy, was it close. Florida kind of ran away with it. They finished a good, I think, 3 or 4 tenths ahead of LSU, who came in second. But LSU was about a tenth and a half ahead of Georgia. Georgia performed extremely well. It came down to Georgia on vault and LSU on floor, and LSU just had more in their tank. But it was, like I said, really down to the last routine. Stanford, unfortunately, was kind of out of it by this end of the second rotation. They had fallen far enough behind that they were going to need one of the teams ahead of them to actually be counting some falls. And there were actually no falls in this semifinal. It was just a lot of mistakes in terms of, especially for LSU on beam. They took a big hit on one of their routines for a missed connection. They seemed a bit shaky on beam. Connor McLean came in and absolutely saved the day. She did an amazing routine, and Connor did compete on bars. She did compete on beam, and she was lights out. She did. You would never have guessed that she was injured. Kaylin Chio, of course, was fantastic, had an amazing vault, was uncharacteristically a little wobbly on beam at times, and then did great on floor. Bars is, again, not her strength relative. I mean, everything that she does is really good, but relative for her, it's not a relative strength, and she performed how she pretty much typically does. It was a lot of fun to see the individual qualifiers. It's kind of a weird thing to be competing without your team because you're used to having them on the sidelines cheering you on. So it's always so great to see how the 4 teams that made it into semifinals kind of adopt these individual qualifiers as one of their own and find ways to cheer them on and try and do their routines with them just like they would do for their own teammates. And so it's a lot of really great sportsmanship going on. But it was a lot of really great gymnastics. It was super close. Again, I'm not expecting tonight to be as close, but you just never know. So session 2 tonight is going to be Oklahoma, UCLA, Arkansas, and the surprise this year, Minnesota. And again, anything can happen. All it takes, especially when you've got teams of a high caliber, all it takes is just to have one off rotation. And you could see a team that we all thought was a shoo-in not make it to Saturday. But we've got 2 of them in, Florida and LSU. Again, kind of went by the numbers. Just the story itself was a little bit tighter than I think people would have expected. Tonight, of course, OU is expected to go through, and I think most people would say UCLA. But you got to watch out. Minnesota and Arkansas didn't come here just to go home. So it'll be interesting to see them all compete tonight. So probably do an update either tonight or tomorrow. And again, even though they're not here, roll Tide.